All right, guys, we're out in Studio B. Don Arnold, who's the guru of all things Kenwood APRS and D-Star and cool shit like that. Anyway, Don brought a D75, brand new D75, totally authentic. Yep, there it is. And he's gonna pull it apart.
Take it apart, baby. Completely apart.
We're gonna see exactly what's inside the D75.
Sure, and what makes it so good.
Yeah, oh, by the way, my old D74, he's taken that apart side by side. We're gonna see what's inside of that too. So stick around, this time on K6UDA Radio. Let's do this. To celebrate this auspicious occasion, Don Arnold W6GPS in Studio A. I don't think anybody's ever actually been inside the Idaho Command in Studio A. You're the first.
Well, I did sign off on my SF-86 security clearance, so it's been signed off, so I'm good to go.
Good. Don, what are we here for? We're here for the brand new D74?
Brand new, yes. Brand new.
That was 5 years ago.
No.
That was longer than that.
It was. It's not 2016.
Wow. Don, what are we here talking about today? It's a D75, I think.
It's a D75, brand new.
Brand new out of the box.
Just been out maybe 2 weeks. And I got one of the first ones. And so on our Facebook page, there's an official D75A Kenwood page that we've talked about the radio, described it, and I will say that it's just exploded with sales. Lots of sales.
Really? Lots of sales.
And let's just get it out. It's $749.
Woo! Ho ho! Oh man! But I'm gonna buy one eventually. I mean, probably not today. But yeah, I mean, eventually I'm gonna get it because I'm a radio guy. This is my big thing, and I love doing it. And it's a great radio. I'll tell you what, the D74 is a great radio. Don has showed me a couple of things that this one does that the D74 doesn't, and showed me some other things that this one does better than the D74. So Don, let's start off with some of the new features of the D75.
Well, first of all, as soon as you take it out of the box, you're gonna actually feel a difference in the texture of the radio. The cabinet, the glass is more resilient. In fact, they use the same materials as the E.F. Johnson 6000 series radio, so it's durable. You're going to notice that there is a USB-C input, and you could charge the radio. You can run the radio off USB-C so long as you have a battery attached to it. Probably a digipeater. We now have a digipeater in here now.
What's a digipeater going to do for me?
Okay, well, for the average user, it's just a feature to have. But for those that are heavily involved in APRS, maybe search and rescue or events, you'll be able to. The radio will act as a hot device, so that you can send the APRS information to the radio. It's going to digipede it to the next station up, maybe to a base station or something. So instead of it'll extend the range of the APRS network on handy talkies.
Okay.
All right, and then probably one of the coolest features here is terminal mode, and let me see if I can, let me get this in here real quick. It's kind of hard to see, but in terminal mode, you'll see term. It actually turns the radio transmitter off, and you're pairing it with an Android device. So if you have an Android phone and you pair the radio to the Android phone, you will now be able to talk on reflectors, change reflectors, without the use of a third-party zoom, like a zoom spot or hotspot, like a zoom spot, or a open spot.
Okay.
Another big thing is, yes, this is an APRS radio, and yes, you can beacon on APRS on 144.39. And on my trip here from the East Coast, I activated a new feature they've added, which is called APRS sentence. It's not DPRS, it's similar, but it uses a different format. And so what you're able to do is it will take the same APRS ID SID in menu 500, which is the APRS call sign field, and it'll be able to transmit that every time you key up your D-Star transmission. So it's just a matter of a few things of turning it on. Of course, the variables of that is you have to make sure your hotspot supports forwarding the sentence to the APRS network.
New generation open spots, open spot 3, open spot 4.
The 4s I know work. That's what I have.
Okay.
The Pi Star stuff, it supports it. You just have to dig in and check the right boxes inside of it.
Okay. So let's head out to Studio B and go to the workshop teardown area.
We're going to the operation room.
See you guys out there. All right, my friends, here we go.
All right.
This is a real D75. This is not a fake. This is not a model. And we're going to destroy it right here on K6UDA radio.
He may destroy it, but I'm not. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is take off the rubber grommet. All right.
Maybe.
It does come out. All right. First thing I notice is the knobs are very, very, very tight. No play in there at all. Of course, I've taken the battery off and the belt clip. Now, this one here is the one where it's a spanner wrench is what you need, but you can use hemostats or curved needle nose pliers like this, and you just loosen this up. Okay, and this is the one that's going to be this is the antenna connector, so get that in there. Be careful not to strip the threads. So I've loosened it, and then I just take a small little screwdriver like this, flathead thing, and just twist it off. You know, I've already taken Bob's 74 apart. You can notice that there is a little bit different texture, and it's not a lot, but the 75 is slightly thicker, maybe a couple microns. But when I'm squeezing these, the 75, it's much resilient and stronger. And this is the same kind of materials that they use in the E.F. Johnson is a subsidiary of JVC Kenwood. So they've taken things from their commercial radio and built it into the new 75. Notice this is right off their commercial radios. They all have this orange seal here by the battery. This is the 74 right here, and this is the 75. And this is a lot stiffer, more robust, and it kind of keeps seals it from the elements, dust and moisture and things like that. All right, so we've got all the screws out. We got everything removed, and I'm going to take this. This is the GPS antenna cover. I'm going to save that. Now, this is not a GPS engine. It's just an antenna. And I'm very, very careful to not yank And what I like to do is I like to remove the cable off the board here. So with your fingernail, this right here flips.
Let me get in there.
That flips. Be very, very careful. You don't need a screwdriver. You need to have fingernails, okay? Now then, you're going to notice that there's a little line right here and a little line right here. When we put this thing back together, that needs to line up to ensure that the ribbon cable's already put in. Okay, so now there's a couple people, we want to make a comparison here. And this is probably one of the key things of why the 75 sounds so much better. It's not much, but it is a different speaker. It's using a larger magnet. And if you could see this right in here, I'll point this out to you. Right along here, there's a little ridge. Okay, the speaker is set back a couple millimeters from the front of the radio. Okay, you see that right there? Okay, this is a 75, and this is a 74. Doesn't look dramatic, but it does make a difference. And because the magnet's stronger, the speaker is going to be able to handle more audio, and it's not distorted. So that's probably the first thing that I noticed was the speaker differences. 74, 75 right here.
Yeah, you could definitely see that.
Yeah. And another thing, while we have the cases off, here's the 74 case right here. And, when I squeeze it, it kind of gives. It kind of gives a little bit. When I pull outside just a little bit, it moves and it wobbles. Okay. So now on the 75 case, it takes much more pressure for me to move this. So what this is telling me is the case is much more resilient. I could take this little screwdriver right here, and it leaves a little scratch, but I have to put a lot of pressure to do that. And another thing is the glass right here is much stronger and much more resilient than the 74. And I know people have mentioned about how the screen or the glass scratches real easy. So this is much bigger, much better, stronger. There are differences in the case. The size of the cases are slightly different. And I know some of you are going to try to do this, but you cannot put a 74 chassis or a radio, guts. You can't take a 74 and put it in here. It looks, but
I was gonna kind of put the flim flam on you.
Yeah. I've already tried it, folks. So don't even try it. Okay. I've already taken the screen off. This is a 74. This is a 75. So the 74 has a mic element right here. Well, the 75 mic element is different, and it has almost a little rubber boot around it. So it has this little teeny rubber boot, and that's what the microphone looks like right there. Well, just from my looking at it, the 75 has a very small aperture for the audio to go in. When you have this black grommet on there, it actually pushes on the case, or they call it the chassis, right along here. It channels all the audio
to that little guy
right there, which means that the case, it's not getting colored. The case can color the acoustic properties of the speech. I know that sounds kind of strange, but it's true. So make sure you don't lose that. Make sure you know which way it goes on. It only goes on one way. Okay, so the screens, I get asked this all the time. The screen is identical. And the screen is the most expensive part in the radio. This is the same screen they use in their high-end NX series handy talkies. We've got to take the screen off here. And there's a clip right here. Get our little screwdriver, get our little clip right here. And it's kind of a compression clip. Be very careful. Pop it. Okay. Probably should take these 2 screws off first. Got a little ahead of myself. Takes 2 first because it'll stay. And just so you know, all the chassis screws are the same except for one. And I'll show that to you in a second. When you be very gentle when you lift that up. And again, there's a line right here and a line right here. Yeah. When you put it back together, that has to line up. This little darker colored part of the ribbon cable has to be lined up. So sometimes they'll put a little sticky adhesive on here. So you want to pull that out gently so it comes out just like that. So just remember, when you put it back together, this line right here is going to line up with this line right here. Okay? So you're going to have to hold the radio and give it a little bit of pressure, but be very careful that you don't slide your Phillips screwdriver along the PC board and you take out one of these little flea turds, is what I call them. Get them. They have. So that's the only one that's odd.
You mean your radio will have a spa day?
It'll have
or a
something.
Spa month?
It'll have something. Oh, I'm gonna tell you, it's very thing. That's the word. These resistors right here, and these resistors right here. If you're going to do out-of-band mod, that's where you're going to do it. But I'm not going to tell you how to do it because I don't know how to do it. And if you do it, you're on your own, baby. So some people want it modified. I don't need it. On the 74, this is the antenna cable from the GPS. On the 75, it's routed a little bit differently. Okay. And it's got this really sticky tape on here, and I'm going to attempt to preserve this by taking it off. It's really sticky, so we pull this up. Be very careful. Okay, just remember how it goes. We're gonna set that aside. Okay. All right, so here's the connector that goes to the GPS antenna right here. And folks, you got to be really careful taking this thing off, not to distort it. Okay, so now we have more screws to take care of. This right here is it's a rechargeable battery, and it charges, and it keeps the like the
memory,
the EEPROM with the TNC information, all that stuff together. But another thing that I've really noticed here, and maybe there's been a lot of improvements from 2016 to current, but I kind of look at the board, and the board just looks like it's more solid. It has something. This is a 75. This is 74. It kind of looks different. All right. So with them all loose, you gotta watch out for the wire right here. Carefully pull the board up. Then there's a connector right here. You gently lift up, and then the board comes out. Oh, one more thing before you do that. This is the encoder right here. Now, if you have to replace the encoder, maybe it got bent or dropped, it's real easy to do. Just follow this video and taking it apart. This thing right here, and you got to be real careful. It does have a little bit of adhesive on the backside, just a little bit of stickiness. If you have to replace the encoder, this right here, just like so, then you can work the encoder out.
Okay.
All right. So this is the RF section, where the transmitter works. Transmitter and receiver works. The other board right here is the control board, so it sends the information to the cable on transmitting and receiving. So again, it's a ton of screws. Be very careful. You don't want your screwdriver again to slip and hit something like that. They've given me a radio to try to break, so I'm going to be doing all sorts of unconventional things to this radio when I put it back together.
Other than the fact that I misplaced that last little bit of footage, this thing went beautifully. Hope you learned something. this thing, it does work. Ah, there it is. It is alive. It's alive. Anyway, thanks to Don for stopping by, loaning me this one here for a few days, just so I can kind of get acquainted. They're sold out right now. There is a waiting list. I am going to get on a waiting list. Well, I don't know if I'll get on a waiting list. I'm going to get one of these eventually. I will do a more in-depth review. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're thinking about buying a D75, or you're thinking of tearing your D75 to pieces, leave a comment and like this video. Like it if you do, subscribe if you haven't. Come check me out on other videos. I'm doing all kinds of cool stuff. I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm Bob, K6UD8. I'm out of here. 7-3.